All right, hello folks. I was going to do a really big kind of in-depth seasonal holiday map, winter map, I guess. But I don't have too much time here, so I'm going to do a piece on a full-size, almost full-size piece of vinyl holographic sticker paper. Okay, this is the koala non-starry one, all right, just the plain holographic, if you can call holographic plain, I guess. But I have trimmed off an inch off the, let's see, I guess off the height and width of this piece, just so I can mat it on some other types of paper when it's complete. All right, so fairly easy process if you haven't seen me do these before. It's pretty easy in terms of the number of media that we, need to employ on this piece to come up with, fairly dynamic results. We're starting with a paper that's already fairly dynamic and exciting, and just in terms of the variation that can be achieved just by looking at it at a different angle. There's reflective qualities to it and whatnot. So it's really fun to utilize. But using this, hello Kay and Linda, using this is just, for me, a matter of kind of muting some of this inherent exciting surface on here, to the point where it's more of an exciting type of embellishment than something that's overpowering to the overall visuals here. Hello, Travel Dreamer! All right, so I've re-inked my White Brilliance ink pad here. Let's start off with a couple new cotton balls here. I think these are a little bit dry and hardened. I use my cotton balls until, I don't know, they get a little bit crusty, and then I don't get a good application of media with it here. All right, so here's the layout here. All right, I'm still using these foamies because I haven't used, some of these before, even in some test prints. And I wanted to go for something fast here. All right, so this cabin right here and these trees, I need to be visible on here, so it's going to be like this. All right. And then I'm thinking about having some clouds kind of rising up from here, and I was thinking about doing this mountain coming out of the clouds up there, so it'll be clouds with a little bit of this holographic showing, and then we'll have some clouds behind this mountain up here. So I'm okay. So the idea isn't just to eradicate 95% of this holographic. So I do want some of that holographic surface to be showing through some of these clouds in here. So it'll dissipate up into here a little bit, and then we'll try to get a little bit of a cloud structure back up here. So it's going to look like a band of clouds, or white down here. Okay, it's going to kind of transition up here into this mountain a little bit. Maybe I'll go with a little bit of an angle to these clouds. A lot of times I just have clouds like this, but I think it'll be a little bit more dynamic if I put the structure of it like this at an angle or something like that. I don't know, just, it can be coming from either angle. The cabin is right here, so I think it make more sense to do it that way. And just compositionally. All right, so that being said, let's see if I can kind of keep this straight right here. All right, so I don't want that holographic material to really be showing through this area right in here, so let's go with like this right here, and then let me get my bearings here. I'm going to put, let's see, I'm going to put a little bit of a designation right here in the form of a white acrylic dot right there, and then I will let myself know where the image right here ends. All right, and then we will designate the base of these mountains right here. Okay, and then the top of that will be about right here. All right. I don't always do that, so let me see. I'll see if I can keep this straight once I kind of start adding in all my clouds here. This is going to be the thing that's going to take the longest time here in terms of a process. But let's see how it goes. Hello, CM Hawkins. Okay, so, all right, now I do need to know where that cabin is going to be. So that cabin is roughly right here. All right, so we need that cabin to be nice and blocked out. All right. I want to use things like colored pencils on here too, so we'll see how that goes. Boy, this is like an instance where like almost having like a Nerf ball size cotton ball might come in handy. Not like a Nerf football, but like one of those Nerf basketballs that you know, a kid might have in his room for those basketball behind the door or on the door hoops. Okay, so we're going to oscillate this a little bit with from pretty opaque to translucent here. So the more white that we lay down here, the more opaque it will become, and it'll be blocking out that holographic type of effect going on in the background. One of the things that I always say with this, it doesn't have to be applied smoothly, gracefully, etc., or too gracefully and smooth, you know, smoothly, okay? By the time you stamp your imagery over the top of it, you know, we're going to be eradicating a lot of the visuals here anyway, in terms of how that white ink looks on this paper, you know, because this image is just going to be right over it. So like little blotchy areas in here will not really matter. Okay. All right. Now let's see. I need to keep, let's see, let's go about right here. Okay. I do want some of this, this holographic effect down on my water though. Okay. It's going to be something where it's reflecting kind of colors of the sky, so on and so forth here. So let's see how this goes. You know, I've done this before and done it on a larger piece like this. I think it was with the Starry. I don't even know where that piece is. Where is that? Yeah, here it is right here. On the Starry piece, but and then of course I've done these cards on the holographic, and you know, whatever, quarter page standard card size, but I don't know, I still feel like, I don't know, in some ways, like, I don't know why, but it feels like this is like the first time I've done it on this piece. Maybe just the scale of this piece. Once you stamp out all the imagery though, I don't know, to me it feels like just your standard card that's not too different from, I don't know, working on a quarter page, I don't know, whatever, white cardstock or something like that. But starting off, when you're kind of presented and looking at this, I don't know, whatever medium that we're working on here, it's, I don't know, it's kind of weird in terms of familiarity for me. Like I said, I haven't been working on this stuff, you know, for a really long, you know, long amount of time either. I don't know, when did we start getting into the vinyl holographics? Was it 2 months ago? All right, so let's see here. Now, here's the thing. I'm kind of wondering if I should go above these trees. I guess we should here. All right, so the base of the mountain, let me see. The base of the mountain was right here. Okay. I think I'm going to leave a little bit of space in here to get that holographic showing throughout there. Just a little bit of it. And again, it's just, you know, so that we're not eradicating, you know, the entire nature of the paper by covering it up with, you know, these clouds and the images, because they're just so big. Okay. All right, so here is where this is adding that ink to where the base of that mountain's going to be. And what I'll do is I'll just kind of bring it up this way, I think, and create a little bit of an angle. It doesn't need to be a real hard edge application of it, but that little angle like this, you know, angles in compositions create kind of a dynamic movement, visual movement in pieces. So I don't know, I just feel like on this piece it would be it would come in handy just in terms of the imagery, you know. I mean, this is a pretty simple kind of layout here, even though it's gigantic. You know, we're not talking about a lot of different images on here, so since the images are just going to be, you know, horizontally configured, just throw in, I don't know, it could be colors or something like that. You can have a light beam or something like that, and have, you know, some sort of angle in there just to kind of break things up a little bit. It could just make things a little bit more interesting. It isn't needed or anything like that, but it's just one of those little tweaks. All right, so let's see. I have a hard time keeping track of this. I have to kind of angle it up so I could see it because I'm looking at it like this when I'm applying it. I'm looking at it from an angle like this with all that light on there, so it's kind of hard to see where you're applying it. So just keep getting your bearings and seeing kind of especially the edgy parts like that. Hello, Tammy. And what I'm looking for is this kind of transition area from kind of opaque to, you want the cloud edges to be kind of, I don't know, roughly airy and, you know, transitioning like that. Now that I look at this piece, this one was a template, you know, the paper towel template. Maybe I'll use some of that. Maybe just kind of doing this all free form like this might be a little bit too loose. We might need a little bit more structure in here. Okay, let me see. I feel like I'm out surfing again or something like that, where you know, you have light coming from above, but then you have also light reflecting off the page back up in your face here. It's like a kind of like a mirrored type of surface right here. All right. Okay, let's go like that. This area right in here, maybe that's too much space, huh? Let's kind of, I don't know, taper it a little bit from this heavier application down here. And, all right, let me just see if I can get kind of a general visual here. Okay, of course it's going to be like this. I think we need to get, let's see. Let's go with a little bit more structure up here. Let's make our cloud template here. That was too straight of a tear here. There we go. Let's go like that. And let's make it a little bit more billowy. See, here's your, what is it? Here's your Stratus? No. Wait, Cirrus? No, I don't know. I can't remember the names of some of these clouds now. I'm finding. But you put an extra rip in there, you got cumulus clouds. Here, let's see. Let's go a little bit more. You can use your cloud templates if you have plastic ones or something like that. Those are cool too. I find these are, you know, you can get a little bit more kind of organic this way. And of course, you know, when you're just doing these cloud templates like this, you know, just by tearing, you're never going to come up with I don't think you'll come up with the same cloud template twice. You know, which is a good thing, I think. Um, you know, unless you get that like perfect one and you want to get it again, you can't get it. All right, so getting a little bit more structure. Okay, now see, I'm putting this right here. All right, but the structure for these clouds doesn't necessarily have to be the edge. Okay, you can go like right on the interior like this. Okay, so you can put that cloud structure right in here. See how much more there is up there. You can come down here and create a little bit more definition like that. That's one of the things about the clouds is that you can, you know, there's, I don't know, you can really vary things from, you know, super well defined to the very, very undefined, okay? And you can mix them, mix and match. You can have it all together in the same, whatever, cloud structure if you want to. But see like that? Here, you can't see it because there's too much glare on it, but see this right here? This is what I'm going for right in here. See, it's a little bit more opaque like that. And then we'll bring some more of it down here. I don't know if we'll be able to see it because I'm going to be stamping my trees over it, but you might be able to see a little bit of structuring in there. Let's go like this too. And also when you're doing this type of thing too, you keep, you know, we'd normally keep templates like this, right? And you're moving it around like this, but just with this one, you can kind of just keep moving it around like this, okay? And again, that keeps it a little bit more kind of organic and kind of airy looking. You can come up here, and then what you do is you apply, I don't know, less ink in this case, or you apply more of it like in one area, and it just looks like, you know, kind of light is hitting those clouds in a different area. And one of the things I tried for the first time, I think, on this one was actually brought some Prismacolor and just add a little tinge of blue right in here, just this light blue in there, giving it a little bit more structure like that. All right, so anyway, keep it moving. Keep it moving, and, you know, because clouds are moving, right? So they should look, you know, a little bit more kind of airy and unstructured. They're shifting, you know, as we see it. It's not this whole thing is like moving like that. There's different, I don't know, whatever, air currents and everything like that working in there. So if you see time lapse, you know, movies, videos of clouds, they're just, you know, they're swirling around in just different areas of it at different rates too, a lot of times. Okay. All right, so let's see here. Let me see how much this one is going right here. I don't want to focus too much on the clouds because I'm going to stamp this mountain coming out from the clouds. It gives it a little bit more majesty when you have clouds at the base of a, I don't know, whatever, a large, tall entity. Okay, it can even be something as short as like a, relatively speaking, like a lighthouse or something like that. You know, that's supposed to be whatever, 50 feet tall or whatever. You can have clouds at the base of it, and it just adds majesty to it, having something peering out from the, you know, a big tower or something like that, a castle. Okay, so let's go with this here. And I'll tweak this too. I'll stamp out the imagery, and then we'll come back in and we'll add some additional cloud mist structuring back into it as well, okay? All right, so after you use your little template like that, see that cloud right there? But see the various kind of opacities of it right there? It's done, it looks like that because of the different amounts of ink applied there, so it looks a little bit more, if we were to look at it in terms of like an application, it's blotchy, okay? Normally not something, kind of a word that we associate with kind of a desirable technique, blotchy applications of ink or whatever, right? But here, it's, it should help it, I would think. Just in terms of it looking natural, or more natural, I guess. Not that we're going for completely natural or anything like that, but I don't know. I think it looks pretty cool. And it just takes us off the hook from having to do anything too kind of exact. Okay, now this is all kind of real, kind of. I don't like this area right in here, but this is where the image is going to cover that up, anyway, so I'm not worried about that. I want this down here again, so, but let's bring a little of this white ink down in this little area down here. Hello, Jeannie. Hello, Julie. Donna. All right, Froggy Fresh, good to see you. Thanks for joining in here. Look at this too. This is really fantastic. When you're applying this this Brilliance ink here. Okay, I just applied some right down there, but this is pretty much like dry. Okay, it just grabs it so fast. I mean, it gives me time to kind of spread things around like this. That's when it's on the cotton ball. But once it touches down, it adheres really, really quickly. All right, now here's my thing. I'm not sure if I want. I could stamp this out and then kind of mask it off a little bit and then have clouds behind it. Okay, that's what I think I'm going to do. Here's what I was thinking about. I was thinking about adding in some additional clouds just in the background and then stamping this out. But I think it'd be better if I stamp this first and then we'll do some masking right here. So we'll have some clouds in front of the mountain and then in the back of it. But, we have to mask off a little bit of it first. All right. Okay, now making an assessment. Do we have enough of the holographic paper showing? And I think we do here. So, like I said, the idea of kind of using this in the first place isn't just to kind of eradicate it and get rid of it all, but if we don't get rid of some of it like that, if we stamp our images over the top of something like this, it would just be way too overpowering, and we wouldn't really be able to see the imagery, the stamped imagery, all right? Because all those colors would show right through the open areas on the stamp designs. All right, so, but I think that is it with my clouds here. The most important parts are kind of these areas right up here, like that. And I'm looking at those transition zones, like, and how they would transfer up here. So let me get this again here. I think we might need a little bit more in here, but I can also stamp this out and put some mist over the top of some of these trees too. Just sandwich this image amongst that element there, foggy, kind of cloudy textures. All right, so let's do this right here. So let's bring a little bit more into this too. All right, so you do your little template, or you do some of this first and then do the template in there, then add some more, freehand some more in here like this. And like I said, remember, it grabs the ink really fast. So if you're not used to that, that's what's going to happen here. And this is different from a holographic cardstock or holographic vinyl. This is the printable holographic vinyl, okay? So it has that emulsion coating on there. That is the thing, the element, the chemistry, whatever, that makes these inks, at least this water-based Brilliance ink, dry so fast. But the other inks dry really fast on here too, like Versifying Clair or something like that, an oil-based pigment ink, you know, something that's not necessarily known to dry very fast. All right. I'm doing well, Froggy Fresh. How is everyone doing today? Is everyone staying warm? I'm not in Wisconsin or Maine or something like that, but it's getting chilly out our way. Chilly out our way would be shorts weather in like Wisconsin, I don't know, whatever, Michigan, Maine, BC, you know, this is shorts weather right now in Southern California for you guys. All right, so I think that is it. Now, if I didn't do enough here, like I said, I think I can add in some more going forward here after I do my impressions on here. Okay, so let's see here. Let's start off with this one. Let's see if I got my... I don't know if we're going to be able to see my clouds down here at all, but I don't know. They'll be in back of the trees. So I think I've just been using that black hybrid ink on here so far in most of my experiments, and that is working out really well. If I can find it, where'd it go? Oh, here we go. All right, so we're doing a large stamp right here. I don't have to ink up everything. I'm going to ink up everything on this side, and we'll go to about right here, I think. Always ink up more than you think you're going to need. Actually, I'll just do it all the way to the end because I might recompose, adjust my composition, I just say. Okay, like I said before, I cannot tell on these foam stamps when they're inked up, especially if I'm using black on here. Okay, if I'm using white, I'm sure I could tell, but black on black, I cannot tell. And it's also foam as well, so, you know, I don't know. I've been over-inking what I've found, I think. All right, that cabin goes to about right here, so... okay, let's go down about right there. Maybe I stamped it too low. I don't know if I've used the hybrid now. Did I? Because I'm stamping this this hybrid directly onto the paper. No, I guess I did. I'm looking at this previous piece here. I think I just used that same black on there. Okay, so that's probably overkill in terms of impression time. All right. There's our cabin right there. It is, we can see those clouds back there, you know, a decent amount like that. Okay, now that cabin's going to get colored in with colored pencils, all right? So let's look at that. That almost looks like Northern Lights up there. Oh, boy. Now that I'm looking at that, that looks kind of cool without that mountain up there. I could put the mountain right back in here, though. We might be doing a different thing here. I might be putting this right here, okay? I was going to put it up here, But I think that looks pretty cool up there now that, now that we have the image down here. I think I might want that open space up there for stars, okay? All right, so compositional adjustment time here. Okay, let's see here. It was 28 in Northeast Ohio. We only get that here, 28 up in the higher elevations here. Yeah, that's pretty cold. That would be really chilly. I think our nighttime temperatures are like in the I don't know, low 60s, upper 50s maybe. Now I'm in San Diego too, so like southern coastal California. But if we go in the mountains around here, yeah, we need we need a lot of snow. I'm hoping we get some this year. Okay, so let's go with this. I'm just putting some white down here. I don't want, this mountain will be in there. And I do want some of that color in that mountain. The holographic one, but I'm just kind of blotting out of a lot of it like that. See that right there? So that you get some of that color showing through. See how it's a little bit more muted down here than up there? I don't know, maybe not too much here. Might add a little more down here. Like about like so. All right, so let's go like that. Yeah, it gets cold in some areas of the country, doesn't it? I was saying on another live stream of mine, when I started teaching, going out to Maine to teach, and I taught I don't know, a couple trips out there that, they were telling me about the blackouts they'd have, the power outages, and it, during the winter time, and it was like no big deal, power, yeah, I'd say I was out for a week, or something like that. So I said, I'm never going to, not that I was complaining about cold weather before, but if I ever get chilly, all I do is think of that. All right, so inked up all the way. I already have transitioning tones inherent in the design itself, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe off the base of this so that, in theory, so I say in theory because I really don't know how much ink I'm taking off of this. I know how much I'm taking off on rubber, but this foam is absorbent, so I'm not sure if I'm taking off enough. I don't want to take off too, like so much that it's like completely off there, but I'm taking off some ink down here so that it's going from wet to dry, so that hopefully it stamps out from dark to light down here. Now it should already, like I said, stamp out lighter than that, but I want to, let me see. I want to make it a little bit more pronounced in terms of that transition, okay? So let's go like this here. Maybe I'll mask some of it off too, that it could be a little bit irregular here, those clouds could be this little billowy cloud right there. So hopefully I didn't take too long to do this. Let's go like that. I just need to make sure that I have it straight. I don't want to stamp it out at an angle. All right. Like that. See this right here? I'm going to add in some more cloud structures down in there now after doing that. But that is that, and now we have that area up there for open sky, kind of like a, you know, like a little, I don't know, whatever, interactive type of sky area. And then we have that reflecting down here. In theory, yeah, I know that the cabin would be reflecting right here and not the sky. But this is, we're doing our own stuff here. We're taking artistic license, so we're saying that this is the sky reflecting down here. So that is that. We don't want to make our, this paper go to waste here. So this also kind of frames things off out here. You have that type of look up there, and then it's also down here. So it's kind of, see how it's kind of, you see this kind of framework of this color going around the edge like that. So yeah. Snow and cold is why Travel Dreamer hangs out in Michigan. That is cool. Let's see. Lakeside cabin looks good in the something. In the holographic, I'll add in there. Hello, Cindy. A makeup artist at some points in my life. No, but I'm thinking about going into it though now, Don, after the cotton ball experience here. Except everything that I do in makeup will have to be with a cotton ball, though. I'm not. I haven't used brushes, so it'll have to be all cotton ball applications. All right, so let's add in some more of this, and let's add a little bit more structure now. Now, I wasn't anticipating doing this, but I wasn't anticipating, doing the mountain at that height. Okay, so you got to make your adjustments. You know what I mean? Art is what takes place between the initial concept and the final result. So just tell yourself that, so it gives yourself, full liberty to change up as you're working on something, right? If something looks like it'll look better, then just do it, change color schemes or whatever, something looks off to you, then, I don't know, sometimes I don't know if I do like 180 degree turns on my pieces, but you know what I mean? They're always kind of evolving and changing accordingly. All right, now here's the thing that I was doing by just wiping off some of that ink in here. I was hoping to get some more of those lighter tones down here. It's stamped out pretty dark like that. And I think that's just the nature of those sponges. Maybe, if I want to take off more ink, maybe I have to kind of dip in like this a little bit more. See, there's still ink in there that was, it gets absorbed into the pores there. So, but it doesn't matter because you can just go in here like this. I mean, it's stamped out a little bit lighter, but you can just go in here like this. And now we're getting that transition between darker and lighter down here like this, just by adding, an additive process as opposed to just strictly a subtractive process, taking ink off of the stamp. When you're working with white, just go in and add that back in there if you don't get what you want. So you can always do that. If there's like a whole area that you don't like, I guess you can just kind of mask off and then put a real thick, application of white in there or something like that. Or you can make things look darker if you want to too. So, I don't know. One of the big things that I'm always trying to get people used to is kind of more the process type of thing than if you run into something kind of undesirable along the way, or if your pieces look, kind of off in some area that you don't just, some people toss it out, but I'm always saying what you do is you just do more additive processes in there, and that will kind of, eradicate or subdue, de-emphasize, that's the word I'm looking for, areas that you might not want. Okay. All right, so let's see here. All right, so we have these clouds up here. So, okay, so I was going to stamp my mountain up here before. So suddenly these clouds right in here became a little bit more important, okay, in terms of how they look. So I'm going to define a couple of those a little bit better now, because I thought they were just going to get covered up, all right? So now they're a little bit more prominent. So I'm just going to go in and add a little bit more definition using our really expensive cloud templates that we bought, right? For the giveaway after this video, we'll be giving away these cloud templates right here, you know. Custom templates, right? All right, so let's see here. I think even a Q-tip in these little areas will kind of look, you know, kind of neat. So, okay, so here's, I'm trying to show you these clouds. It's hard to do it with all this glare on here that, you know, we're talking about. When people first do these, like, these holographic or foil pieces, it's hard to get a photograph of them, you know, to post it like to Facebook or something, but it's kind of equally hard to show you guys some of these clouds on here just in these videos like this because of all that glare. But yeah, can you see that right there? Those clouds like that? And you see where it's a little bit heavier, the ink applied like that. So again, applying things in a kind of a more, I don't know what the word is. It's like a blobby kind of, a less controlled, less, I don't know, exacting way, I think contributes to, you know, a better looking end result. Maybe a little bit more varied and natural looking, okay? And that's always a good thing for us, right? We don't have to, you know, be precise. So if you are precise, I don't know, maybe it's harder to kind of get, you know, a little bit looser with it, you know. All right, so that is that. What I'm doing right here is I'm trying to make it look like that mountain is kind of, you know, what's the word? I haven't done these videos enough here. They're kind of enveloped in the substance, so surrounded by, you know. So let me try to get some of this down here. I need heavier applications of white, I think, right in here. But again, in that blobby way. All right, so there, I'm kind of adding a little, or a lot more opacity right in this area right in here. Can you see that right there? Yeah, that looks a little bit more dimensional now, doesn't it? Oh, okay, now you can see. I can see it better at this angle right there. See these clouds like that? But see this right here, you know, originally it was really light like that, but now that looks a lot better right in there. But look at that. It's like a nighttime sky. Then here's the, you know, the changing aurora in there, which is kind of cool. Isn't it nice that we can have all those colors like that that are changing without having to kind of do that as an additive process, but they're already just inherently in the, you know, the characteristic of the paper? All right, let's see here. Hello, Debbie. All right, there we go. All right. I'll add some more like foggy effects down here, but let's hit this with some colored pencil now. And some paint pens. And I don't think this should take too long, although I don't know, I always get caught up in finding something to kind of obsess over. All right, so here's some brown tones like that, and then we'll go with a couple light blue tones like these right here for my clouds, okay? So if you haven't watched these videos before or watched vinyl holographic sticker paper, is the combination of the printable holographic sticker papers, printable vinyls, okay? And the Brilliance ink is really fantastic. Those inks really dry and set up really fast, okay, on here. And it creates this surface in which you can go in and color. I haven't used pastels or something like that, but kind of, these other types of media can be used on there that traditionally you just wouldn't be able to use on anything that's so non-porous like this, because it's just not going to stick, okay? But that little foundation of white that has been applied, okay, with this, now makes this surface open to additional media. Let me see if I can get that focused in again. Oh, when this loses focus, when it's these live streams I found when I was doing a video that wasn't streaming like that, it focused just fine. I don't know what's it must be the software that I'm using. Anyway, okay, so I'm just laying down a very light touch with this blue here just to give my clouds a little bit of extra definition. So this little area right here, I hit it with a thicker application of I'll sign those I'll sign the custom templates. Be Kevin Nakagawa, best wishes 2022. Yeah, this, okay, so I'm just adding a little bit more shading. So anywhere where you add kind of this, like this, see, this is like right here, okay? So this is like a foreground cloud right here, against this area in the background. So you just we're adding that shadow where this template ends like that, and the background begins like that. So you just give a little bit extra, it gives a little bit more emphasis like that, okay? Or you could define the edge of the cloud a little bit where you don't want it, where it's more kind of, there's this diffusion of light, okay? Maybe don't put any there, okay? So, see, I'm coloring my mountain here too, like this. All right. And there's just a really light application of the white right here, but I don't know, can you see that little bit of blue like that? All right. It seems like all it takes, okay, is just a tiny bit of that Brilliance white in there for this to grip, okay? I don't know, I thought it took a little bit more, but it's applying on that just fine. All right, so getting this down like this. It just gives a little bit more definition to those, really kind of diffused clouds in there, so I can see a little bit more of that edge in there, like so, okay? Let's see, let's get some of that up here as well. I'm not great with colored pencils, and I haven't been doing this vinyl sticker paper for too long here, but here's one of the little things that I'm doing. Sometimes if I'm working and applying this, in a certain way. I find that my applications, at least with this type of look right here, look a little bit more graceful if I'm doing all of my strokes in the same direction than if I come down here and then I'm putting it on this way or something like this. I just kind of choose a direction. Here, I'm going to shut off my camera here and turn it back on. Should be coming. Here we go. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's about right in terms of the exposure. Okay, so like this, and also kind of, I'm going with the direction of the mountain angles as well. And again, a lot of this is for me too, because like I said, I haven't worked with colored pencils very much. I've been working with them a lot more recently, okay? But like historically, you know, like next to nothing. Even though I've had these for a long time, I wasn't using them. You can look at my, I don't know, like the first probably like whatever, 800 videos. I don't know if I've used colored pencils on any of them. All right, so anyways, you see that kind of that light, and I'm going really light here too, okay? Yeah, sometimes only the top of the peak is clear. So it'd be kind of interesting too. I mean, you can come in here with like an application of some clouds too. Maybe I'll do that in here if I can, or maybe I should mask. What you do is you just see this right here, this cloud coming like this. Maybe what I should do is I should mask that off and then have a little bit of that cloud right here go in front of that a little bit. It's not going to eradicate it, but the imagery right here, but it will kind of make it a little bit more subdued. And again, it's kind of like this idea of this mountain being enveloped in that cloudy texture here. All right, now see, I'm doing all this on the vinyl sticker paper. I mean, you can do all this. These are all the techniques that you can do on on cardstock or whatever too. Not the holographic aspect of it or something like that, but all of these kind of like, little principles in terms of envelopment of imagery, kind of muting some of it and making some of it lighter. That's all the stuff that you can do. It's not specific to this vinyl surface that I happen to be working with here. Actually, this is looking better right here, huh? Kind of really kind of light, making that area lighter like that. I don't know, yeah. I've muted this whole kind of bottom section right here practically. Okay, so some of that blue was down there. Now I'm going over the blue with the white, so it's not like, okay, you have to add in the colored, the white, then you go with the colored pencil and you can't go back to the white. You can do that. Okay, let's see. Let's put a little bit of that mountaintop and a little bit more of we'll change the lighting up there slightly, like so. Looks a little bit higher up there when you kind of obscure it a little bit like that, huh? Or obscure it a lot. Okay, there we go. Oh, that one looks really good right there to put that over that amount. That was a little bit more ink in there than I thought, but I think it worked out okay. Okay, now one of the things about this ink right here is that it does look lighter and more opaque when it's wet for some reason, and when it dries, it's a little bit more see-through. So you're gonna have to go a little bit more or a lot more than you think is ideal. But I would rather have you do, kind of work it in layers like that, let it dry and set up. On this, it takes, so little time. And then you can get an idea of, again, how it's going to be looking. And then just add more accordingly. Build up your applications of the white like that. Goodbye, Decay. I don't know if I said it. Hello, Paulette. Cheryl, good to see you. Hello, Cindy and Margaret. Yes. Honk if you're a conch. That's in reference to our high school mascot right there. There used to be these bumper stickers. I think like in the I think it was more in the 70s that that bumper sticker was out there. I don't know if they made it in they might have made it in the graphic arts classes or something like that. Okay, so that is that. We got that mountain integrated up there. Now I've done, I mean, it looked okay before, but I think it looks better now. So those are the little types of tweaks that I get caught up kind of, working, maybe overworking sometimes, but, hey, it's because it's fun. Okay, so going back in with my blue in there, okay. Making it look a little bit more wintry. I could make that mountain, I don't know, whatever, brown. I mean, that's kind of why I grabbed these browns right here. No, but I'm going to put these browns into my cabin, I think. Okay. And I won't necessarily use all of them, but if you want to get a richer color scheme, okay, instead of thinking about something like, I always tell people this, when you're thinking about some kind of color scheme, don't just think, okay, well, let me see, what is cabin brown? And then look through the browns that, you have or something like that and say, okay, that's cabin brown right there, right? What you want to do is you want to just get, I don't know, several different colors and then layer them, mix and match. And that's where you get the richness of a given color scheme. Because even kind of the smallest little entity, okay, often has variations, even if it's a uniform color, okay? So like this, this pad right here, I mean, you can see it. I mean, if you were to render this, okay, what color would this pad be? I mean, it's different depending on the light here, so that would require a different type of tone like that. Or any different color, these pencils like this, there's a darker version of it and the lighter version of it like that, okay? So, I mean, unless you just have one color, you have a pack of colored pencils and, there's, it's a set of 8 or something like that, but you can also kind of mix and match too. You can add like a brown or something like that, and if you want to warm it up in a little bit, then add in the orange or something like that, or you can shade it too with black. Okay, so that was a little bit of, it's a raw umber here, a very light application of it, okay? And one of the things too, when you're doing something like this, it's not just the color of something, but it's what does something look like in 3 dimensions, okay? And it's usually, you don't have to know things about specific to that thing, but this side here would probably be a different value than another side because light would be hitting it in a different way. So I'm going to make the side of this darker, okay? So I'm giving it a heavier application of this color that I'm working in right here. You can do it with all the colors if you want to. Here's the eaves right here, right? And I'll have those casting a shadow like that, okay? And then, but you can also do that. You can also go with a heavier application, but you can also do darker tones like this, okay? And then have the, have the front of it a little bit varied too, okay? This is supposed to be kind of wood and, the logs or whatever are going to be varied in their weathering, presume it's a little bit aged and it's been out. And the elements like that. So you start doing something like this and you start what they call turning the object in space. You're making it look more three-dimensional that way. Okay, so let's see. I don't even remember which ones I used here now. Let's see. Here's a little bit more of a warm brown like that. Yeah, I haven't used this one yet. And then I'll use it on the side here. But the side doesn't have to be uniformly toned either. You can have variation on it. You know, maybe from the back of it to the front of it, it's a little bit different if you want. This is going to be like snow on the top there. That's what that's going to represent. So I'm not going to hit that with the brown. I mean, you can hit it with a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit, you know, like that. Okay. My camera's pulled back so far after that 11 by 17 piece, or near 11 by 17 piece I was doing the last time. All right, here's a little bit of blue. I just wanted to get this established a little bit as I'm doing this, and we'll bring in some of this blue onto this white here, or what would represent white. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit more here. I'm going to work on it a little bit at an angle like this, okay, so you guys can see it. Remember, you can always kind of move your objects around. You don't always have to work on things vertical, like, or, you know, right side up like that, okay? Now see this down here in the rocks too? We're going to render these rocks by making the base of them darker. Okay, there's darker bases on them inherently in the designs as well, so I'm just kind of following that, but you can make your objects all seem a lot more dimensional this way. You can add some shadows at the base of some of these rocks as well. And this is applying really easily on the top of this Brilliance White. So again, I'm not coloring the vinyl, I'm coloring really the white of the Brilliance ink, okay? See, in this, I'm hitting my shadow areas with this color, okay? One of my instructors one time was talking with another student, I don't know. It seems like those were the things that I always remembered the most, is not when he was kind of up in the class talking to the class in general, but he was saying that, you know, some of the brightest colors, or the brightest colors of things, are usually in the shadows because they're not being washed out, you know, with bright light or something like that. So like an overcast day, you know, the intensity of colors is usually more extreme than on a bright sunny day that's high noon. The colors are lighter, you know, and that there's more light, but they're not as bright because they're kind of washed out. So you can hit your areas with your color schemes like this, and hit your shadow areas and make the shadow areas kind of the brightest versions of those colors that you're using on those areas right there. Now on here, I mean, certain, maybe the shadow areas or represent rock or something like that, you know, as opposed to, you know, they might not be snow or something like that too, but just in general, I'm kind of applying that general darker, brighter shadow principle to this area right in here. And see the brighter tones of the brown. See, this is kind of like a duller brown, right? And this is a brighter brown in here. It's darker brown. It's not lighter, but it's brighter, okay? All right, now here's the shadow areas on these rocks right here. So I went with a light blue. Now I'm making the base of this one a little bit darker blue. You can't go on here, you know, too many layers onto that Brilliance ink. The Brilliance ink does allow for the application of these colored pencils, but it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make it a textured paper or something like that where you can layer, you know, several layers of you know, colored pencils into it. It does have its limit. I don't know, but then again, I say that, but I haven't done a spray fixative over the top of this that has a texture to it, and then maybe you can add on more or something like that. Someone read that you're not supposed to spray seal these, though. It's like specific in the instructions of the paper, but I don't know. I think if you hit this with a little bit of spray sealant, I don't think it would do any damage to the piece. You know, I don't know if it's going to start delaminating on all that. Something to do with the chemistry of the paper or something like that. But I don't know. I wouldn't think there'd be a problem with it. There's a lot of spray sealants. They dry so fast, especially a workable fixatives. All right, let's see. Thanks so much, Margaret. Okay. I think that is it with the colored pencils for the most part. Look at this, on these big pieces of paper like this too. I was going to go pretty extreme and bust out some of these larger stars, like, crystals like this, that I never use, but that's going to be like too big even for this scene now. It's kind of weird. I mean, this scene's like 4 times larger than most scenes that, quarter page scenes that you're doing. I did cut off like an inch off both sides, so it's not quite like, 4 times larger, but I don't know. It's like, even with these images this big, I don't want to go like this gigantic, kind of a crystal up there still. It seems like, I don't know, it doesn't feel too different than like a standard size piece. That's what I'm always saying to people on some of these pieces. It kind of surprises me that, I don't know, the feel working with these large stamps like this, in many ways, by the time I get to like here, when I'm stamping it out and things like that, and when I'm adding all that white in the background, thinking about, okay, this stamp is going to cover up this whole area, that's when I'm kind of conscious of the size of these stamps. I mean, this is not a small stamp right here. But I don't know. I don't feel like it's, by the time I get to this point in time, it's just like I'm still thinking about these little things like this, and I don't know, I'm not really aware or consciously thinking about, imagery dimension so much anymore. And I think that's a good thing, though, because we're still concentrating on the things that, you're kind of into with the piece. Details, lighting, shadow, highlights, all that type of fun, little fun stuff like that. Okay, this is the white acrylic paint pen. Okay, so this where this light is coming from the inside of the cabin. You can have some of these areas underneath there kind of illuminated accordingly. You can't really see it like that, but because this glares down here, but at different angles, there's that lighting right there. Here, let me go a little bit more extreme with it. Normally now this would probably normally be little dots down here, okay? But on this larger piece, I'm doing like some line work in here because it can handle that, okay? If I did like a big line on a quarter page card, that's really standing out kind of too much, but maybe this is where it kind of differs, in terms of the looks here. So I see something like that. This is what I like about this paper again. People haven't seen this before. A lot of you have, but, where you change it like that, it's like there's the, the highlights like that. Specifically down here, okay? Or the lighting, I should say. Maybe not the highlights. I guess highlights on some of these rocks too. If you put a heavier application, it's like snow on top of the rock. If you put a couple little dots, it could just be like, highlighting on those rocks. So it just depends on how much you want to do on there. It could be both, highlighting and snow. Let me see something right here. 3mm paint pen, 0.7mm. Let's go with a little bit of a heavier application on some of these rocks. And not because I think it's better, it's just because I can do it here on these rocks and it'll take it. Where I would never highlight with a big 3mm, paint pen like this, that it's kind of more designed for like rock painting. All right, so see those highlights on those rocks right there? They're standing out a little bit more than they will when this dries. Okay, this dries also like the Brilliance ink. It just dries a little bit more, kind of more towards the transparent, whatever opacity scale. Okay, and let's get some of this on some of these peaks as well. Okay, I'll make some of these peaks hopefully stand out a little bit more. We do have the white on some of these already, but do you see that like that? It's just a little bit more of a brighter kind of kick there. So I think I think it looks a little bit more dimensional that way. And again, it's kind of good that that mellows out and it kind of blends in with the background a little bit more. Because when you do that, there's a lot more control over it too. If it got lighter, as it dried, that would be a little bit of a problem. But when it kind of merges in with the background more as it dries, that's good. Because then if you want to go thicker and more opaque, you can always do that. But we wouldn't want to have to do some kind of subtractive process, removing something that changed too drastically, If anything, it mellows out too much. But in terms of user friendliness, emerging of textures is always good. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm going in that same kind of direction that I was doing with my colored pencils again too. Okay, let's see. I should go for more of these gestural movements like that, but I'm a little bit, I don't know, too conservative right here because I haven't really done that in my scenes before using the paint pens. Maybe with the 0.7, but not using this big, thick pen like this, okay? All right, let's get a little bit more of a dimension going with this rooftop right here. I'm just putting a line across like that, okay? And then I'll do this too. I'll stay in that same movement like this, and we'll work it from the top down a little bit more. If it gets too extreme, you can always just go and mellow it out a little bit with some colored pencils back in there, okay? In other words, too much of that ink, okay? So it looks like that. That might be too much. I might go in and mellow it out a little bit more, but we'll see what it looks like when it dries, though. I would say I'm getting a little bit freer as I do this, though. Okay, let's see. Maybe I've overcome my fears. So you guys are like therapists, You're just like writing things down. Is my time up? So see that I'm going for a longer stroke. Like actually, I think that looks good on those mountaintops. It looks a little bit more three-dimensional to me like that. All right, there we go. Yeah, there. That worked. See, no, you shouldn't be afraid of things, you know what I mean? I'm always trying to tell you that. All right, so let me show you. I don't know if you can see that right there. But see that you start up there and it's like everything's kind of being, kind of those streaks are kind of going all in the same direction like that. So, I don't know. I mean, you can't really tell like that, but I don't know. Yeah, it looks better. Okay, so here's one thing that I didn't do yet, and that's kind of finalize some things with the black pen here. Not black pen, but the black colored pencil. We can get in some of those deeper shadows in here. Did Froggy go? Good night, Froggy. Thanks for joining in. I'm sure they're gone by now, but as I put my hand there, some of that paint's a little bit wet still. Okay, but see, this little cabin's getting a little bit more dimensional this way. We did stamp things out with the black ink, so going back in and doing some shading with black is a thing that kind of makes sense there. We've highlighted up here in white. You can also shade in black. You can do that thing where you're going kind of in the same direction too. Keeping that motion, that gesture going. About like so. I don't know if you can tell what I just did there. It was really subtle. I didn't do too much. Okay, and then at the base of some of these rocks again, just to define them a little bit more. In terms of being, I don't know, whatever, dimensional little objects like that. Okay. Now, let's see here. I haven't really addressed that sky at all. I'm not sure what I'll do up there. I do have these crystals. I have the my glue and clear crystals that I was thinking about wanting to add up here. I think that should be fun. And okay, I was debating on whether or not to add in some foreground down here, and I think I am going to. I don't think it needs it, but I think it will still look good just to frame these edges off like this. I don't like these angles like this. Too pronounced. I'm too aware of these angles everywhere, so I'll probably leave it as is up there. But down here, I don't want 4 of them, so I'm going to soften that area. Debating on whether or not to use the VersaFine Clair. The VersaFine Clair could be potentially darker. I'm not sure. VersaFine Clairs are so dark. Now, if I had enough open space down here, I could, if this black image wasn't right here, and if we're doing like an all wintry type of scene, you could do like these foreground images in like white over the top of that holographic vinyl. Or holographic, if you're working on cardstock, holographic cardstocks, you can do it, You can do these images in white. You can even emboss them in white too. And that looks pretty cool in terms of having like a 3-dimensional kind of real wintry, icy looking object raised from the surface. Okay, I'm usually not doing so many impressions of this, but this, I think this is where this image is big here. This, I don't know. This isn't really a card, but... All right, so I've added that right down there. Increase the depth a little bit. and framed off the piece slightly like so. And all right, we might as well do this. Let's go ahead and give this a light dusting of some white paint here. Okay. Dr. Martin's bleed proof white. Dr. P.H. Martin's. I think Dr. Martin's dyes. I don't know if it's a different company. It might be. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it would be. Why would they have a Dr. P.H. Martin's and a Dr. Martin's dyes? I don't know. I need to take a look at that. Maybe those Dr. Martin's dyes are Dr. P.H. Martin dyes. Okay, so my handy dandy toothbrush like so. I'm just going to apply this over the whole thing, okay? We could have that up there as just stars. Now that I'm thinking about that, though, that might look better. Okay, let's do that just as stars. I keep changing my mind here. The reason why I was just going to splatter paint over everything, I was just thinking I might want to be lazy and not cover it up, but like covering up this bottom portion, it's going to take like, you know, it won't take very long at all. Okay, so let's go like this and like that, kind of roughly. Okay, so stars up in the sky. You won't be able to see too much of that, but at certain angles we will, okay? All right, I want to go a little bit more overboard. I put more paint in my brush than what I really needed for up there because I was going to do the whole thing. But let's see what that looks like here. Okay, so that's what that looks like that, right? Nothing. But then you hold this at certain angles like that, and you got a, you know, sky full of stars. So, you know, if it's darker or something like that, it just gives you something. It gives us, I don't know, kind of more look at that. It looks like northern lights like that. Like, you know. So again, this is like, I don't know. That looks like, I don't know, that looks like morning or something like that, like sunrise. And it's like the changing. There's your northern lights like that. We didn't go through sun. Maybe it's like sunset or something like that, or I don't know what that looks like. It's like a time lapse. This looks like time lapse. Like that's what it looks like, right? It's like a time lapse photograph of this lake like this, just by changing the angle like that. So I guess if you're walking from, you know, across the room, you know, and if this type of thing's on display, it might be looking different from different perspectives or something like that. But look at these clouds like right in there. Isn't that fun? Against that, those different effects provided by that. Okay, so let's hit that area up in the sky. There was just too fine of a spray, and we're going to hit it with artfoamies.com, Christine. Did you use foamies or red rubber stamps? Rhonda, this one's the foamies right here. This is a 7.5 by 10 inch piece. I cut off an inch off both sides, just, you know, so I can mat it on, you know, a couple 8.5 by 11 different types of paper. So, but you could do a scene like this on, you know, with regular stamps too. It would be this size. The Lakeside cabin would just be this size. So you'd have to put a couple things, you know, on each side of it. You could put more mountains off to the side too, you know. Or you can just do the same scene on a 1/4 page piece. Same exact composition, you know. Rocky Peaks, Lakeside cabin, and Reeds right here. Or if anyone has nature set number 6, you know, nature set number 6 here, plus the addition of the Rocky Peaks like that. Okay, but going back to this area up here, just to add a little bit more visual interest up there, you know, we have all these stars like that, and there's a little bit of variation with that splatter that we did. Sometimes you get more, you know, variation, sometimes you get less. I don't know if it's, sometimes I'm convinced like if you use like a thicker ink, then you get more variation, but then sometimes I do it with a thinner ink, I get more variation, so I don't know. I don't know the signs of the splatter. Okay, so, all right, here. Watch out on, going in with, your paint pens like this, because as you add some of this acrylic paint down, if you are going over some of that Dr. Martens, it could get jam up in that. Then you just kind of scribble it off a little bit like this, and get it flowing again. But it is possible to get, some of that watercolor paint or whatever. If I'm going over the Brilliance ink with this, you can get some of that ink up into your tip like that and just kind of scribble it off and just get it flowing again. But it happens a lot. And this is the 0.7 millimeter paint pen. Okay, but you can see that those larger stars up there. It just gives it a lot more character like that. Look at that. There's that completely nighttime right there. But I love those different looks like that. Like, where was it? It's like, I can't even find it now. Maybe my hand was in front of it. I don't know. We were getting a different look. It's like constantly changing here. Okay, so one of those things, if you're giving this piece to someone that you really like, which is always the case with me, right? Because these pieces go out to you guys oftentimes in orders and whatnot. But where did my glue go? Okay, so here's this, and where did my glue go? Oh, here we go, right here. All right, so we're gonna add in some little crystals up here. And here's the hardest thing about doing these things is kind of remembering where you put these little dots of glue down, because they look like the Dr. Martens or the acrylic paint pen dots. Maybe the thing is that we do this first, huh? I'm a slow learner, folks. You know what I mean? That hadn't occurred to me before. Instead, no, I put a bigger dot down, but can you see those big dots of blobs of glue like that? But I mean, it would probably be wiser to put those crystals down first and just splatter paint over off. Who cares if you get a little paint on a crystal? These crystals are really small anyway, so no big deal. But I don't know. Yeah, I'll do that again. I'll do that in the future if I can remember. Okay, so let's add some crystals, and I'm gonna go fairly bold with some of these and use a bigger crystal than a lot of times I do, just because this is such a big piece. And I'm always using like very small ones for my quarter size cards, so I do want to get rid of some of these larger crystals or have use for them. All right, then we'll intersperse some smaller ones down here too. I honestly can't tell if I'm adhering some of these. Some of these I might have adhered to that paint pen dot that was still kind of built up a little bit, but all right. So this is the Marvy Jewel Picker. Makes things a little bit easier, but go like that. And we got those stars up there like that. Okay, so those show up like that, in that sky, but then when you show them the night sky like that, You know, they're little sparkly little elements. I don't know, maybe they stand out too much, but I don't know. Against that kind of that sky like that, I think they're really fun. See, in some areas they stand out too much, but then they look good, I think, like that. With a little bit of extra bling. You can have some like down here, like reflecting off the water surface too. Or it'd be kind of interesting to add in some you know, I didn't do it here, but you know, that pearlescent ink, and you put a little wash of I should have done that before I stamped out those reeds if I wanted to do a little streak of that pearlescent down there. That would be kind of interesting, but I don't know. I like these little static things up there, like these stars amongst this kind of moving, ever-changing area too, like that. And it just gives it a little bit more stability with that crazy kind of reactive, you know, to light action up there. So, look at that, it looks like a rainbow or something like that now. All right, so that is it. Let's see. I'm sorry I didn't. Let's see. And let me see if there's some questions that came through here. The large foamy. Oh yeah. So the large art foamies are on the art. I think it's artfoamies.com, right? I'm running low on the Dr. Martens. This for me is not too low for Genie. That is like one, you know, that's one scene's worth, you know, from like here down. For me, from here down like that, that's like a year's worth, you know, how I use it. If I, you know, going and painting like that too, that'd be kind of cool. That's what you would be doing, Genie, right? You know, you wouldn't be using those pens. So the brushwork could give you like an extra, like super graceful kind of application of you know, those colors in there like that. Well, yeah, I like to see those little crystals like that. They're kind of big. You know, the smaller ones would probably look a little bit better on that, but or if I intersperse a few more of those little tiny ones in there, to be kind of cool. But like I said, I kind of like that look in there. It just, you know, when someone gets something like that too. Okay, so the paper alone is going to get people to do this type of thing with it. But I just like how it kind of reveals kind of different looks. That looks like daytime or something like that, you know, with a bunch of like dark dots in the sky. But then see, there's all these different tones like this that are really fun. And there's that thing, like I said, you know, down here, yeah, you know, all of that would be really reflected down here. But I think we needed that little area down there, at least a little bit of that something just to kind of balance the scene off. So, yeah, you know, or like I said, artistic license. That's there. My camera doesn't focus that close anymore on these live streams, but you can see that area like that. Anyway, so a pretty big scene. I don't know. Let me see. How long did this take? It wasn't super quick, okay, relatively speaking, but that's a big scene right there. An hour and a half for a full page scene like that. You know, I don't think that's too long in terms of like all the different techniques used in there as well. So, yeah, it's supposed to be a lake. It could be a, you know, something else. It could be the ocean too, or something like that. If you were up in, you know, like Washington or Alaska or something like that too. Oh, yeah, you could do, yeah, sure, Margaret. A swan or something like that could be cool up there, you know. That'd be cool. Yeah, you have like a little bird or something like that swimming down here under a nighttime sky. Loons, I think, would be really cool in there, you know. I need to do a loon scene. I think I was doing. I'm not sure if I did one, but it didn't come out quite like I wanted to. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I have this loon on iMovie that I make these videos that I do the editing of those videos on. Has this loon call, so I want to have that. I've used it in the past, but I want to do a scene that uses more of that loon. Okay, here's one thing I forgot to do too. Okay, so we have all this area down here. Okay, so we enveloped our mountain in there's, the white was in the background. Then we stamped the image. Then we used some white over the top of that again. By the way, how did that go? I'm saying, how did that go? I was wondering if some of that white ink that I applied up there got really super transparent or not. Okay, but what I wanted to do here is I wanted to come in here and vary this a little bit more. Okay, so this is how this looks as is, okay? Now I put some of this white ink over some of this. White ink in the background, imagery stamped out over the top of it, right? Colored pencil work, okay, but see this right in here? I'm just going to add in some of this white, and let's put it over, you can put it over the tops of the trees too or something like that, but I'm just going to put some, like at the base of these trees, like it's a little bit of a fog that's kind of rolling in or exists right here. There's some mist on the water's edge. We can come in here and lighten up some of these rocks down here. Okay, about like this. Kind of use a real light touch and a drier applicator. So, I inked up in here, but I'm, it's not super sopping wet or anything like this. And then see, I'm just going to come in here and then bring some of this into this. And again, it's kind of having this element that's, again, it's in the background there, image stamped over the front, top of it. And then when you have this down here or in front of those objects like that, you're really kind of giving this a real three-dimensional look. See this little area down here? So again, it's not like a cloud down here. I guess you could if it was like super socked in or something like that with, fog or something like that if you wanted to do something like that. But it's just kind of adding some of the same element right in here. So I think that looks a little bit better now. You know what I mean? Can you see that right here? It's just right here a little bit. So we brought that element from the background into the foreground like that. And it just softens up some of the edges here and there, but you oscillate it with, some of the crisp right here. So, you're playing contrasts against one another. So, you know what I mean? So don't just like tone everything out. You could, and look like a really foggy kind of atmospheric, kind of situation like that. But in terms of kind of ranges, okay, in terms of dark and light, sharp against soft, you're really kind of expanding on the potential kind of textural richness. Like it's light and dark too, because this is white, but it's for the most part, it's kind of a textural difference in here. It's kind of soft against sharp in here, but it just happens to be white. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. You're adding this lighter element in here as well. And, expanding on that, the visual range of those aspects of your piece. Okay, so, let's see what this looks like right here. Let me just throw this piece of black down here so you can see this like that. I'm not going to mat it like that, just directly on white, black, but you can kind of see it. It'd probably look good on blue or something like that. But anyways, that's the piece right there. And just, in terms of size comparison, you can see what size that is. Here's a standard piece of like a, quarter page card like this, okay? Size of a pen or something like that, right? So you can get these pretty big pieces like this, and I don't know, you make it into you can frame off a piece and give it to someone for Christmas or something like that if you want to. But again, these pieces I think are pretty cool, in terms of, someone wanted to frame it or something like that, or if you wanted to frame your own piece or something like that, and throw it up on the wall. I don't think anything on here is going to fade either. It might, the colored pencils over time or something like that, but they're not going to be as prone to fading as something like dye-based inks, okay? If you have an original on display. That's why I've always recommended to people that if you're going to frame dye-based ink pieces, and if it's a piece that you really care about, just go down and, you can, or if you have an inkjet printer, take a photograph of it, print out the inkjet photo of it, right? And then you put that reproduction on display. And then, that original will stay nice and bright and, deep with color saturations as long as you want, okay? Or, you can, I don't know, print it out or something like that at Costco, or I don't know, wherever they print out, like 8x10 prints or something like that. You can do something of that sort. So anyway, that is it. Thanks so much for joining in, folks. I really had fun with this piece. I'm not as... I've been doing more larger pieces over this last year, but I didn't work with those that size too often. I don't know if I've done 20 full-size pieces like in my life, like 8.5 by 11, maybe, okay, but I doubt if it was like 2 dozen. I'm talking about like 30 years, but I'm doing a lot more of those things, okay? But with the Art Foamies too, I don't know. This is three stamps right here, and you're, in terms of the impressions right here. So that was pretty fast. The thing that took a long time on this one is, of course, the clouds. But, you can stamp this onto a piece of white cardstock and just color it in, too, with, whatever color scheme you want, or something like that. So in terms of the impression part of, these larger format pieces, if we're working with large stamps, naturally, it just takes so much less time. That being said, I want to do this 11 by 17, going back to my rubber stamps, doing this kind of real winter wonderland type of thing with like little kind of vignettes or settings around, on a piece of, this is like 11 by 17 paper. So I want to do that coming up. It'll probably be over the course of like, I don't know, 3 or 4 live streams or something like that. However long those monster maps took, I expect, a winter kind of themed piece to be taking about the same amount of time. So say something like a composition like this might be in one corner of my, little winter wonderland type of arrangement. So, yeah. All right, so everyone, like I said, thanks for joining in. Let's see. I think it doesn't look too bad on the black palette, but I think the like a blue Star Dream I think would look kind of interesting on this. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the black would look better. I'm not sure. Maybe the black doesn't compete with anything that's happening on here. Maybe going with that iridescent blue around on the edges might just compete with it. I do have a blue, like a super dark blue glossy that's almost black. Actually, that one might be a good one to use with this one. But I'll probably throw in a little bit of a slight white border like this onto it, so it'll look like something like this right here. That doesn't really show up like that, but when you go like this, that white really shows up, at certain angles like that. That's what's hard, this one, yeah, now I think about this this paper like this, with the ever-changing kind of surface like that, it's not easy to matte unless you go just with that uniform kind of dark matte, huh? Like that. Because sometimes it's light, sometimes it's... See, sometimes it's, these reflective things like this, sometimes it's lighter than white, and it can go all the way to whatever this... In this case, it's like that bluish tinge, on that holographic paper. So, again, here's a, little close-up on those clouds in the background like that. Again, kind of see where it's kind of blobby, like that. I didn't, that's just using that cotton ball like that and keeping it kind of more irregular in terms of your applications. And I think that kind of adds to that whole look. And sometimes if it's blobbier in there, just some areas of, the mountain are a little bit lighter than others. Okay. And I think that kind of adds to it. So, don't get too kind of caught up in the, in terms of like a smooth application of that white, especially when it's going to be applied in the background. And like right in here, if I took any time at all, it like didn't matter at all because the image is just stamped over the top of it anyway. So yeah. And then, like I said, you know, you can always see what it looks like after you stamp your images and just apply more of that white ink right over the top of it too, or just alter it with colored pencil work or whatever. So again, yeah. Thanks again, everyone, for joining in. Hope you have a great rest of evening, day. It's not morning for anyone, is it? It might be afternoon, though. But fun with the foamies on a, what day is today? Tuesday night right there. So again, here's another one of the, this one's full 8.5 by 11. I should have cut some of that off, but that's the, the lights in motion, it's not called that, but the starry holographic right there. So I don't know, they're pretty fun stuff to be working on. So yeah, maybe the next piece will be like that. Like I said, that little bit of a winter wonderland map. So I need to figure out what stamps I'm going to use with that one, but it'll be a lot. All right. Until the next time, hope we see you again on the next live stream. Thanks again. Good night. Oops. Let's see. Good night.